Wabarakatuh.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sorry for the delay. We have some circumstances that we can't avoid, the technical things. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Aisha, and I'm delighted to be your MC for this session. We are thrilled to have you all here as we dive into navigating ethical challenges in startup and commercialization, balancing innovation with responsibilities, as this is for our forum topic for today. So before we begin, I would like to take a moment to thank everyone who made this event possible and to express our appreciation for your participation. We have an exciting agenda lineup, and I'm confident that you will find today's discussion both engaging and informative. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for the session, Associate Prof. Dr. Muhammad Hafiz Azmi. So, Dr. Hafiz is Deputy Director of TTO Rmc Iuum and Chairman Science Integrity of Young Scientists Network, Academy Science Malaysia, and will be guiding us through the forum. He will take over from here and lead us through the various segments of today's discussion. So, Dr. Hafiz, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us to get a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us begin our discussion today, the forum today with the recitation of Kitab Al-Fatihah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Inshallah we make a dua. Hopefully we get the blessing from Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما اللهم افتح علينا فتوح العارفين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين. Ya Allah Tuhan kami mohon dengan rahmat dan kasih sayang-Mu ya Allah, keberkatan dalam majlis ini ya Allah. Ya Allah Tuhan kami pada hari ini ya Allah, kami berhimpun ya Allah kerana kami nak buat apa yang terbaik untuk universiti, untuk negara kami ya Allah. Ya Allah Tuhan kami dalam usaha kami untuk embark dalam startup ya Allah. Maka hari ini ya Allah kami nak belajar tentang etika-etikanya ya Allah. Ya Tuhan kami, Kau selamatkanlah kami, mana-mana pesyarah-pesyarah kami, pendidik-pendidik kami yang berhasrat dalam startup ini, ya Allah, diberikan panduan, diberikan hikmah, dan diberikan kebaikan kepadanya, ya Allah. Maka bagi kami, ya Allah, hanya padamu kami mohon bantuan, perlindungan daripada segala bala bencana. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Walhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you everyone for joining us. Alhamdulillah, we have 35 participants. I didn't expect to get this much. Basically, we are going to have this session recorded as what we are planning that this session will be a compulsory for those interested, for the IIUM participants who are interested to embark into journey of startups. So they have to listen to the recording of this session. So only if they have the proof of listening to this recording to understand what is the ecosystem, to understand what is the legal implication, only then we are going to approve them to embark into this journey. So together with us, we have Dr. Khairul Anwar from USM. We have Professor Dr. Shamsilah Roslan from ITMA. And we have Associate Professor Dr. Soni Zulhuda from IIUM. Dr. Soni is the Deputy Director of OLA, of Office of Legal Advisor of IIUM, and we have Dr. Khairul Anwar Che Azmi, who is also is the Director, if not mistaken, Dr. Khairul, the Director of Legal Advisor of USM. So let me brief a little bit about our forum today. We are going to have 3 rounds, which the question has been given, but there will be additional questions later. And we are going to make this session more like discussion rather than just to listen to the presentation, because what we hope that at the end of this journey of the forum, we will get as much as possible information, not only from the speaker, not only from our panels here, but also from the audience, because we have some of the audience already have their startups. Ladies and gentlemen, for today's session, this program is actually organized by TTO, RMC, Office of Legal Advisor, ITMA, ACAT, as well as Young Scientist Network of Academy of Sciences, Malaysia. So we are collaborating with various of agencies to ensure that our discussion today will be a very fruitful discussion. Okay, not to, as a moderator, as usual, we are lecturers, we like to talk. So that's why I talk so much. So let me brief you to our speakers today. So we have Prof. Shamsila, who is an expert in applied psychology. Prof. Shamsila specialized in application of psychosocial profiling in creating efficient and productive educational, social, and work environments. She is actually, I just want to focus particularly on our activity today. So she is the expert, has implemented psychosocial profiling in a challenging task of developing university innovation into commercializable products, appointed as the Deputy Director and Director of Putra Science Park, UPM, between 2009-2019. Professor Sila has led more than 300 negotiations with multinationals, large corporations, and SMEs, locally and internationally, realizing that the most common issue in the failure of people from very diverse background and work culture to discuss and work together. She has implemented psychosocial profiling and personality environment congruence concept to provide conducive and facilitative platforms for researchers. And she also she also the president of ITMA, okay, and then which give a training to more than 500 innovation and technological managers from Malaysian public and private universities, and has been, very tremendously giving us, particularly the TTO in Malaysia, the input on the importance of the establishment of startups. Okay, I think let us, with that, we go with the first round to Prof. Shamsila, and then later we are going to, I'm going to introduce Dr. Khairul pula, as well as Dr. Sony, that is with us. They are also very tremendous, what we call experience, a broad experience, particularly on the legal aspect. So let us listen to the positivity of the startups from Prof. Shamsila. Prof. Shamsila, are you ready with the first question?
Yes, inshallah.
Okay, Prof. Shamsila. So now question, okay, as the president of ITMA, so what do you think? What is the initiative or resources does ITMA offer to help innovation managers and institutions incorporate ethical consideration into their business strategies and the commercialization of university IP? Prof. Shamsila.
Yeah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Hafiz, my esteemed fellow panelists today, Dr. Khairul Anwar and Dr. Sani Zulhuda. Can I share screen? Boleh ke?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So just easier for me to show some points if I share the screen. So regarding the question asked just now, actually ITMA has been around for I think since 2014, and when we set up ITMA, the whole idea is to get people who are in the same scope of work to discuss on the best ways to mitigate and overcome issues related to bringing innovations and R&D output from the university to the market. So before I answer the question, can I just give an overview of how urgent it is for us to look into venturing using spin-outs and startups in commercializing innovation. So Malaysia ranks 36 in GII for 3 consecutive years, and our innovation input has increased, but our innovation output has decreased. That means that the translation from input to output has some serious work to do. So this is in GII. So we all have to support the translation of as many R&D output as possible into something that will have high socioeconomic impact. So how do we translate this? Actually, there are three common pathways to commercialize and to do technology transfer. The easiest way is to partner with industry from the ideation stage, yeah, where industry comes in, give us research fund, come up with the innovation together. Maybe we go on the patent, and then they help commercialize. That's the easiest way. But that's a very, I think the smallest number of successful commercialization is done through this way, because Malaysian industry is notorious for not having high contribution towards R&D. It's a fact, maybe our industry is not ready and so forth. So we have to go through these two ways. The second way is we license straight away to existing industry outside of the university. So why do we need to license out? Because it's not the nature of the university to do business or to be involved in mass production of the solution or the innovations or the products. So we have to license the technology that we have developed from R&D to the industry. That's where IP comes in, because IP is the legal document that show we own the technology. So we license to industry and they will commercialize. So that's easy, straightforward. Researchers just do technology transfer. And there's quite a number of this kind of licensing activities being done among, especially among the RUs and also RUs. That being said, we don't have enough industry take-up from around us. Most industries are very skeptical to take university technologies at the early stage because it's too risky. They can't see if the business model will work. They can't see if there's enough market to sustain the business. So they refrain from taking up technology from university at this early stage, except for a few industries that have their own reasons for partnering with universities at early stage, taking some risk, licensing the technology and exploring the business together with universities. That's where we have to do ourselves the business and venture through university spin-outs or creating university startups. So when we do this, there are a lot of questions, yeah? And that's why we really have to see if spin-outs and startups are the best way to do this. So let's look at the global scenario. In the US, between 1996 to 2020, that's about 25 years, they have licensed out technologies from universities, various universities. They have licensed out to industries, but we look at this statistics. Out of all the licenses issued, 73% were issued to university spin-outs over the 25 years period. That is in the US, where the industry is so much more advanced than Malaysia. They still have to license out to spin out first. And how it works is that the spin out will, or the startup will develop, will grow, get investment, get capitalization, do the business. And if the business works and there's enough capitalization, then bigger companies might acquire this startup. It might go public listed. So that is the common way globally how innovations from universities can be commercialized. And why is that so? It's because technologies from universities are disruptive technologies. They are new things. That's what we do. We discover new things. Because they are new things, the value chain is not there yet. So the business model is not proven. We don't know whether we can make business out of this or not. So for business entities, for investors, they want to make sure that the business will work. So they do not want to be involved at this key stage, especially when they have to do investment and so forth. So that's why we have to create our own startup and spin-outs. And startups and spin-outs have special mechanism whereby they have equity. that they can offer for people to give them fund. Because technology, tech-based, very you need a lot of early capitalization, you know, for the capex and the opex. So that's how things work worldwide. So the question now is, can university researchers be involved in business? So that's it. That is why ITMA has been working very closely with many stakeholders, yeah, many key players in the ecosystem, in the Malaysian RDICE ecosystem, to find ways to sort things out. So we've done this since, so I think the startups and spin-outs has, I'm not sure between USM or UPM which one is first, but these are the two universities that started to explore this. We experimented, we improved on our mechanism. For UPM, where I work, when we started this together, UPM and ITMA, we went through the whole discussion with our legal advisors, with different ministries in charge of different acts and rules and regulations, and that continues to work until now. So that's how ITMA works. Mostly we meet up in workshops, in discussions, and we are involved in giving input to all these rules and regulations. So some of these rules and regulations, for example, Dasar Pengkomersialan Harta dan Niaga Cipta Dibiayai Kerajaan spells out that researchers can hold equity if they have invented the IP. So issues with equity and so on so forth, I will let, we have experts here to talk about it later. And even though Dr. Khairul has been instrumental in leading discussions about this, we have had several workshops. And I think I will stop here to give a way to my fellow speakers to discuss more about this issue. But this is how basically ITMA has contributed in terms of setting or paving the way for a more supportive ecosystem to make this work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Shamsila. Now we know that we are kind of in the middle of, you know, as a lecturer, as a researcher, academician at the university, we know that there are things that tie us to embark into business. At the same time, we know that there is a need to have a spin-outs, or what we call here today startups. Yeah, this is the junction that we have to think about. And that is also one of the reasons why we have this forum, because we want to ensure that everything that we start has to be, we must understand whatever decision we make, particularly to embark into these startups. Alhamdulillah, for IIUM, we have presented our guidelines for startups in March, and Alhamdulillah, last month, our guideline for a startup has been approved. And now at the university, at the IIUM, we have the policy as well as the guideline for the startups. Now we are currently encouraging as much as possible of our researcher that who would like to embark into startups to go to this journey. If you are considered as what Prof. Shamsil mentioned earlier, to push forward the technology through licensing is kind of difficult. Now, we have our expert here from IIUM, our Deputy Director of Office of Legal Advisor, Associate Professor Dr. Soni, who actually mainly, he is the current Deputy Director of Office of Legal Advisor, our collaborator for this program today, mainly writes on issue on cyber law, e-commerce, information governance, information security, and PDP, personal data protection. He obtained his PhD in Information Security Law in 2010 from IIUM. Dr. Soni is a 2008 Web Science Summer Doctoral Fellow from the Oxford Internet Institute, the University of Oxford, and a 3-time Fellow of the US-based Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. Associate Prof. Dr. Soni is a fellow researcher for Cyber Stewards Network CSN, hosted at the Citizen Lab, University of Toronto, Canada. He is also the core member of the Research Alliance for Data Governance and Cybersecurity, based in Beijing, China. Dr. Sony is currently serving as an associate prof and cyber law course coordinator at the Civil Law Department, Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah Faculty of Laws, the International Islamic University, Malaysia. His latest book was published by Thomson Reuters Asia, titled in 2024, titled Cyber Law in Malaysia, Principles and Practices, co-authored with Dr. Ridwan Karim from Monash University. So considering that the experts of Dr. Sony, yeah, as well as the one who are working very much closely with TTO of IIUM, Prof. Yamsilah, Dr. Khairul, without them, I don't think that we are going to have our guidelines as well as the policy. You know, as a researcher, we are all researcher. We don't really much into this documentation. So Office of Legal Advisor under Dr. Sony has actually helped us a lot, as well as what they call Encik Rajabat, who are not able to join us today. Let us make a dua, hopefully a speedy recovery to Yang Mulia Rajabat, our legal advisor of IIUM. So question to Dr. Sony. Dr. Sony, you know, I would like to congratulate to IIUM for having the guidelines, policies are very clear, has been established for IIUM in August 2024. But the thing is that, Dr. Sony, as a staff of IIUM, we just want to clarify a little bit, particularly on how does the university handle the commercialization of IP created by its staff, and what processes are in place for licensing or transferring IP to external entities. Dr. Sony, the question to you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. I think you have to do justice for yourself and your office for the recent issuance or production of our recent guideline on startup companies. Yeah. In fact, I think we in Ola were so motivated, yeah, with your enthusiasm and strong passion, yeah, when it comes to this issue. And Alhamdulillah, we work very closely together, and we managed to come up with this guideline. And I understand this guideline is at the very final phase, yeah, of finalization. And certainly it's going to change the whole, inshallah, going to change how we move in near future when it comes to incentivizing our lecturers, our researchers, yeah, in their research as well as development activities. So regarding your question, I think it is also a very good time and opportunity for us to reiterate, yeah, the commitment of IIUM to be the leading research and knowledge institution, and we cannot achieve that objective if we do not create such a conducive environment, yeah, for our researchers, our scientists, our professors to keep on innovating and continuing their work. Yeah, instead of putting more barriers, we should be giving more incentives. That's what I believe what IUM is currently doing and keeping on doing. But certainly, as what people say, is the devils are in the details. Yeah, how are we going to do about that? And that is what we keep on learning and doing the best way. And I thank very much personally to Prof. Samsila and also my colleague here, brother Dr. Khairul Anwar, that will be also sharing with us. Certainly, we have to learn from their best practices. Yeah. So back to the question of how generally, this is rather a general question of what kind of processes that we are having uh, to allow, to give space to facilitate the licensing, transferring of IP, either first, of course, for our own lecturers, for our own researchers, as well as for externals. Yeah, we try our best to put all the measures. Yeah, but first thing, it is really our commitment to say that yes, we need that IP. We need that IP to be produced. We need these knowledge activities to produce intellectual properties that we can further gain, yeah, from there to further develop. Because we imagine if the intellectual property is not well managed, yeah, by IIUM, then certainly, I mean, our researchers, our innovators will not be so motivated. Therefore, IP ownership is a very important component in UIN when we have some series of policies and procedures, yeah, to follow and to apply to ensure that the ownership is properly disclosed, yeah, properly created, properly processed and evaluated, and also properly acknowledged and commercialized. Yeah, for example, for IP policy, yeah, IUM would have a policy that outlines, yeah, the ownership rights of the IP itself. But certainly we have this very general rule that if the IP is created within the compound or within the domain of the university work, so general rule, as we all know, that the IP will belong to the person who commissions the work or who employs the innovators, meaning it will go to the university. But of course, we have many situations, other situations where things can also be further diversified as to what extent our innovators will also be recognized. Among others, we are also able to recognize the joint ownership as well as the registration of the innovators themselves. Therefore, it is very also important to have a disclosure process. So we encourage and we require, in fact, for our researchers when they have this, when they start their research process, among others, to disclose whether or not there is an IP or potential IP to be created. Yeah, this is among the first things that we like to know. It doesn't mean that if there is no specific IP, then we are not encouraging, of course, because IP rights under the law, it requires some technical requirements in order to for a work, yeah, to be recognized as part of the intellectual property and having intellectual property rights. It goes down to many legal technicalities, yeah, about the newness, novelties, about the internet industrial usage, and so on and so forth, yeah. So there are perhaps some works that may not comply with all those, but doesn't mean that we will stop there. We still keep on encouraging, and the moment you have this potential IP, then it needs to be disclosed. And from there, also some assessment, evaluation, and assessment processes will need to be done, because only from that assessment, then we will realize the potential of that IP, whether that IP will exist, and furthermore, whether that IP can be further commercialized. Yeah, these are two different things. You have IP, maybe one thing, but you have IP which can be commercialized. We need to know that, and we want to ensure that this can be further done as the next process of our research. Therefore, after this disclosure and evaluation process, then we are going further to commercialization strategy. It is another important measure, and I think this is exactly what, yeah, TTO is also very concerned. We have so much already in our list of work researchers, but not all of them, and maybe not many of them, are actually having this commercialization potential. Therefore, from that commercialization potential, then we are able to take or to decide our further step, yeah, whether we will be keeping it, we will develop with our own, or maybe um, uh, we can allow, collaboration framework to be further pursued, yeah, between IUM researcher and a third party. And this is where we can also consider whether a startup, yeah, can also be the next action. So as you realize, we prepare the whole processes, yeah, in IUM, starting from defining the IP itself, and then disclose the IP, and then process, evaluate the IP, and then you commercially viable. So from that commercialization, what next? Certainly, we are talking about revenues, lah, and that is, I think, the other thing that we are also concerned with. If this commercialization come up with some form of revenue, then we are looking at how we share this revenue. Yeah, royalty, for example, the royalty distribution, or maybe if it is in terms of the startup, and how we make sure uh the sharing of the revenues, sharing of the equities, yeah, in the startup companies. I think that also do not escape from our attention when we uh, put our policies and procedures. Other than that, we want to make sure that, especially Office of Legal Affairs, keep on accompanying, yeah, or supporting, yeah, all the researchers with our several units, among others, our legal and administrative unit, yeah, our MOU units, because this is where we want to ensure all your steps, yeah, our researchers' steps are being supported legally and properly. So we have our legal agreements. You can always work with us, and we are ready, yeah, to help what kind of terms and conditions, yeah, to be put in our research agreement. We are open, and we would normally ask the researchers, what do you want and what does university want? So we want to put it properly in the proper terms of our legal drafts. If MOUs or collaboration is required, then we have this MOU unit as well to be engaged, yeah, and normally the one of the very important question we want to highlight is this part, yeah, commercialization, the job distribution, and revenue sharing. Of course, that's among the big things that we will ensure to be properly covered, yeah, in our drafting. Last but not least, talking about the university um, steps as well as the direction, we also want to ensure sufficient industry engagement, yeah, to be done by IIUM, to be promoted. So we really cherish, yeah, this kind of opportunities to promote to our internal researchers as well as to external potential collaborators that we are here, we are able to create, and we are ready to actually collaborate. So we will push further on the activities of outreach and engagement. And Ola is, inshallah, we will always be ready to support any office, including the TTA office, to navigate. Yeah, this is the favorite word nowadays. Yeah, to navigate. Yeah, wherever we want to go when it comes to commercialization of our research. Dr. Hafiz, that's what I can say for now as general policies. What IUM is looking forward. Hopefully, it will cover what
Okay.
is needed.
Thank you very
Back to
much.
you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sony. So we have listened to Prof. Shamsilah from UPM, the point of view of ITMA, and we have listened earlier the perspective of IIUM in supporting what I call startups. But again, there is a check and balance. Together with us, and I think one of the most important person here that I would say, Dr. Khairul Anwar Azmi, legal advisor of USM. Okay, let me introduce a little bit about Dr. Khairul Anwar bin Haji Cik Azmi, who is currently the legal advisor of USM. Prior to joining USM in 2007, he was an advocate and a solicitor with more than 25 years of experience as a legal practitioner, both in Malaysia and in Adelaide, Australia. His specific areas of practice are related with public universities governance, IP rights, medical legal, integrity, and corruption. He is the current chairman of the Legal Advisor Council of Public Universities Malaysia, the chairman of ACEIO Penang State, and the advisor to the Sarawak State Government on the Ombudsman. He is also a certified legal drafter of Royal Institute of Public Administration (RIPA), International London Certified Arbitrator, Malaysia Chapter, Certified Professional Intellectual Property Manager, CPIPM, from the Malaysia Institute of Management (MIM), Certified Integrity Officer from Anti-Corruption Commission Malaysia (MACC), or known as SPRM, Certified Ombudsman from Pepperdine University, USA, and International Ombudsman Associate, and also legal entity appointed representative leader of European Commission. At international level, he is actively involved as an invited speaker in the field of IP and plagiarism under the umbrella of UNESCO ISTIC training workshop and entrepreneurship in various countries, including Thailand, Brunei, Kuwait, France, Egypt, and so on and so forth. And also the speaker related to academic integrity and ombudsman in Paris, Stockholm, Helsinki, as well as at Seattle, New York in the United States. Okay, so with all this information that we have, I have gone through the short biography of Dr. Khairul Anwar. I think the experience of being what I call legal advisor of the university for quite so long, right? Looking at the ups and downs of startups, not only in USM, but also in other universities as well, as what we have been discussing quite sometimes, Dr. Khairul, in several activities in NOCOL, for example. So Dr. Khairul Anwar, my question is, I think this is going to be a critical question. How can university academics, right, particularly in startups and commercialization, navigate legal and regulatory compliance requirements? Could you provide examples of consequences of failing to meet these requirements, Dr. Khairul?
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me, Dr. Hafiz?
Clear, clear, clear.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Hafiz Azmi, my colleague, Prof. Samsila, of course, my best friend, Dr. Sony. Last time meeting you was about two months ago. Okay, to all the attendees, let me share the questions again. How can the university academics in startup and commercialization navigate legal and regulatory compliance requirements? I would like to confirm with you, in terms of commercializations, there are three types or four types of commercializations. So we are okay, we have resolved the issues on commercializations or research collaborations, as well as licensing, as what Prof. Samsila has been explaining just now. So to all of you, technology licensing, technology transfer has been resolved. There's no issue at all. Either legal issues or ethical issues in terms of licensing to the industry. However, like our topic today is something to do with startup and commercializations. If we focus on the startup, what I would like to share with you, the ecosystem for startup has not been completed yet, despite we are already 15 to 20 years down the field has been doing all this startup. Why I said that, in USM, we have started our first startup back in 2008. Why I remember? Because the first startup in USM, there were about 8 of them were registered and start operating on 8th of August 2008. So it is easier because 8808, because that was the date that has been selected by the Vice Chancellor at the time. However, do we success in startup? The issue of startup, it always lies with our AUKU. Lucky IIUM, you are not using the AUKU, but just for the sake of knowledge, the whole lot, there is a one section in AUKU that has not been resolved until today. Why it has not been resolved? If we can identify the section, simply because whenever we brought over it to the Jabatan Peguam Negara (AGC), the response from AGC and also the relevant department, which is Ministry of Finance, is not favorable to delete it. What is the main sections that we are talking about? This is about section 4A in our first schedule of our coup. IIUM does not have this restriction. You don't have this provision. So you are quite free in order to go by way of startup. But simply because you are also receiving the grants from the parliament, you may also need to understand if the Ministry of Finance issuing a directive that you have to follow also with similar to the other universities, public universities. So this section 4A, one of the subsections provides that you cannot open up a company without the consent or sanction from Minister of Finance. This is the main important words that I have been, many of us have been trying to resolve it with the Ministry of Finance since 2008, for example. So this section disallow us to set up a company without the consent of the Minister of Finance. So how do other universities do it? Okay, rest assured, all the 20 universities have our fully owned subsidiary company. Like USM, we have UScience Holding, for example. Of course, IIUM, UPM, UKM, UITM. Also, all of us have this company. So to Ministry of Finance, they only regard this as the allowed company to be set up. Others has not been given, despite the situations that KPT regard as a startup or spin-off as one of the KPI to the universities. This is where we keep arguing that, look, startup is a KPI. The trend throughout the world is that to start up a startup so that we can commercialize our IP products on the right way, on better opportunity, etc. But to the government, they're simply not ready in order to open up the startup uh, the startup permissions to these public universities. So we need to circumvent, to strategize in order to open up a startup. Simply because a startup is essential. It is uh, good to have. We need to explore it. And we thought that the time will change the Ministry of Finance mind or perceptions toward the setting up of the startup. So what happened was we created a policy on the startup so that with this policy, it is a there will be a proper governance on the setting up of the startup. There will be a proper governance on how the how to this respective researcher or inventor will have to prioritize the tugas hakiki versus tugas dalam startup. What will be his or her role in the startup versus his role in the actual academic community, research, etc. So we have done all that. But again, I would like to say that the ecosystem has not been completed simply because it's not easy for the Minister of Finance to allow us to set up a startup. Okay, I stop on that direction, but I will have to jump on how to circumvent it, how to strategize it. All universities have the startup. Since 2008, USM has done our own startup. Okay, we have not been called to be penalized or to be asked for queries, for example, or there's no audit saying that what we have done were wrong. There's no such situations there. But the problem is startup is not an easy task. Despite we opened up roughly about 18 startup in 2008 and 2009 alone, most of the startup has been closed also after 6 to 7 years. Okay. In USM, we recommence our startup again in 2019. Okay. Until today, we have 26 startup ready and has been operating. Despite 26 startup that has been allowed to operate, 5 startup has asked for a volunteer winding up. So leaving 21 startup. Okay. So what I would like to say to you, startup is not an easy task. Okay. So the university, even though they allowed to do the startup, they also is the universities or the KPT also looking at the failure of the startup as well. So in order to strategize so that we won't kena any tata tertib or any discriminations against us, what is my main message to you is that make sure your startup system being consented or sanctioned by your board. Okay, the ecosystem of startup must be consented or must be in the knowledge of your board and of course sanctioned off by the board. So if anything happen, as long as it is been sanctioned by the board, the law cannot go against you particularly the law on the disciplinary actions. Okay, so in USM, even though we did not ask for the permission from the Ministry of Finance, okay, but we make sure our board understand the whole ecosystem of startup, allow the startup to allow the principal researcher or inventor to be the director or co-director in the startup. There will be permission also for the university through the proxy to hold some shares in the startup, and as a result, we have the policy on the startup approved by the board, so that if anything happen, legal things or etc., particularly when there is a complaint or there is a abuse of power within the startup of any startup, we do have the ecosystem on it, we do have the policy on it. And for the most important part, the board has approved our startup. So I'm going to conclude in this first session that in order to navigate it, make sure that your startup ecosystem been approved by the board. That's the first thing. Okay. Yeah, I pass back to you, Dr. Hafiz.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hairul. So, Alhamdulillah, I think maybe blessing in disguise good for IIUM. We don't have that our thingy, but still, I think we still have to follow the rules and the guidelines as we are actually, the grants, particularly even our salary is actually from the ministry. So I think that may be the reason why eventually we have to follow as what the other government university has been doing. Nevertheless, I think I pass this to our Ola to discuss a little more details in the office. But as for us at the TTO, and definitely because we are very much into one thing is that it has been one of the KPI as well for the university to establish startups. If not that, maybe it's going to be a little bit difficult for the top management of IIUM to approve. Luckily, it's already been written in the MIRA, as well as lots of funding, Cradle, so on, has been putting fund in that, the startup establishment. Nevertheless, I think let us move into the next question to Prof. Shamsila, who has been working quite sometimes. I think, as the director of here at IIM, we call it as a TTO lah. In UPM, we call it Putra Science Park. And, as well as the president of ITMA, I just want to know if possible, you can share with us the example of university startups that have effectively upheld ethical integrity and transparency while commercializing their innovation and growing their business. Additionally, what key lesson can be drawn from their experiences? Prof. Shamsila.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hafiz. Let me go to the slides. Okay, so Putra Science Park, okay, although it's very scary, when we know about all the acts that is surrounding us, but we try our best to tread along this dangerous line so that we can come out with something that will benefit the university and the society at large. So Putra Science Park is actually a hybrid. Yeah, it's a hybrid between a technology transfer office and a science park. Yeah, so I think we experimented this in 2012, 2013, where we make our TTO also a science park in the sense that we have industries coming in, and in collaboration with MTDC, they become tenants here. We have places for industry to discuss, and it works for us because they bring in a lot of valuable information. So because we are Putra Science Park, we are able to also do startups and to up to date, although we have I think more than 100 teams going into InnoHub, the ones that are currently up and running and active are 62. Yeah, 62 startups. We have licensed out about 240 IPs, and 20 products are in the market currently, and a total of 76.8 million in gross sales. So that's our achievement so far. So when I say license, they can be either licensed to existing companies outside or to our own startups. Okay. So let me zoom into the program that we have to nurture our startup. So we have a very, very specific program called InnoHub. If the researchers want to do startups or spin-outs, I strongly encourage or strongly tell them to go through this InnoHub program to avoid all the potential issues as mentioned by Dr. Khairul. It's not just the holding, I mean, AUKU, but we also have Akta 605 Badan Berkanun that maybe IIUM is not involved, but I think IIUM is might be subjected to Akta Penal Code, Kanun Keseksaan, which I think Penal Code, which also has clauses related to pekerjaan luar. Even public universities have Akta 555, Akta Institusi Pendidikan Tinggi Swasta. Even our friends, TTOs in private universities are telling me that it's not easy for them. They have CBE, they have TM, all these, and they have internal policies that are governing all these things. So, actually, even if we are not involved in businesses, conflict of interest can still happen, as we can clearly see from all the SPRM cases in the papers. They are not involved in startups or spin-offs, I can tell you that. But they still cross the line if you are not aware or you are not careful in understanding what are the rules and regulations. So what more if we are now venturing into businesses? So we need to understand where the rules and the demarcations are so that we don't cross them. So that's why we set up InnoHub, and it was not easy. We went through a lot of iterations with many people, and we even brought this to our Senate to be approved. And it was established in 2013. Has about 17 commercialized products in the market. Market capitalization of these startups has reached almost 20 million ringgit Malaysia. Several of our startups are now valued at multi-million ringgit Malaysia. Okay. So, so we had several success stories. Senyum sikit lah kan, kau tak susah hati je tengok apa banyak peraturan. Ya, peraturan ada, but you follow the rules. You do properly. So we get some of our startups. Our Carbotek is already listed in 500 global and wants many local international awards. Yeah. Our Remd mana? Oh, after this. So this is another startup now in collaboration. I think Petronas, Presi Petronas is interested in having this in their petrol stations. Yeah. Our Remd is being sold in more than 700 clinics and pharmacies all over Malaysia. So there are so many other success stories, but to get to this stage, we make sure that they understand some important things. Yeah. So I just want to reiterate what was mentioned by Dr. Khairul. So when we had this InnoHub, the first thing is we want them to have teams. So first thing, researchers must form teams comprising of at least 2 people, the researcher and the project manager or potential CEO who is not an employee of any entity. So we made very clear from the start, the researcher must not be an executive manager of the company. Because the researcher is our university employee. So the company must be run by someone who is not an employee of any entity. Yeah. But when they come in as a team first, and they will be offered this market validation grant. So basically, this is a research grant. This research grant is given to the researcher and must never be channeled to the company. That we make very, very clear. Yeah. So what they must do is first, when they are accepted into this program, there are screening processes. They will go through rigorous trainings and also at the same time conduct market validation study. What is market validation study? In their training, they are actually exposed to how you can develop business model canvas. And from that business model canvas, they are supposed to go and validate the assumptions that they have put. Let's say they assume that the market size is this much, they have to go out and validate. They assume that this segment of people is going to buy, they have to go out and validate. So everything in the business model canvas will have to be validated. If it is validated and the result is positive, meaning that the BMC works, most of the time they have to go through many pivoting, changing of potential business model because the initial ones that they come up with were not supported or validated. So once it's validated, they can form a startup. Before they do that, they must sort out the researcher must sort out at least 3 documents. Permission from the Vice Chancellor to be involved in the startup, to hold equity, to declare their interest, to declare their property. So there are a lot of documentations in place to make sure that the researcher is well protected. Actually, when we started this InnoHub program, we had a meeting with the Timbalan Ketua Pengarah SPRM. We want to understand if there will be some conflict of interest issues. So we were told very clearly that you must ensure 2 things. Number 1, you must declare all interests. If you declare all interests, then there will not be any bad intention or intention to hide. And secondly, you must not be involved in making decisions related to your or your company's interests. So if you are holding posts like myself, like a director or any post, and you are involved in a meeting where decisions are going to be made that will perhaps give some benefit to the company, you must excuse yourself and get it minuted. Clearly that you are not involved in that decision making. So those things we actually help to remind our researchers continuously. And once the startup is registered, they will go through more training and coaching. We will get them exposed to SSM. They will be explained about their responsibilities, what they need to do annually, on a yearly basis, some reporting, all those things they need to understand, the liabilities, and then they also may proceed to licensing phase where they sign licensing agreement with UPM. So when they sign licensing agreement with UPM, now the company is a licensee of UPM technology, which means that they pay licensing fee and UPM will award them the rights to explore the commercial potential of the IP, and at the same time, UPM pledged to do tech transfer. So when we sign licensing agreement, our university UPM will have a tech transfer schedule where the researcher will transfer the technology to the company. Cuma yang bezanya in this case, the company is the company that they have co-founded or have founded. Okay. The researcher is continuously reminded to be cautious about conflict of interest. When they apply grant, is the grant allocated to them as the researcher or to the company? If the grant is given to them as a researcher in the university, it must never go to the company, the money. So what happens if there are products, proof of concept ke prototype ke developed from the grant given to the researcher, and there are people who want to buy. So if there are people who want to buy, they can sell, but the money must go back to the university, not to the company. The money can only go to the company if the grant is a specific grant for company. Like MOSTI has several grants and several other ministries and agencies, NTIS and so on and so forth. They have grants for the company. In that case, tak ada masalah. They can go give grant to the company, and the company can use the grant to start their business and to do rolling and so on and so forth. Okay. During licensing, the researcher will conduct technology transfer to the licensee as stipulated in the licensing agreement, which is the startup, which can be done during office hours as it is considered kerja hakiki lah, because they are actually performing what is stipulated in the licensing agreement. However, UPM does not hold equity in the startups. So although we bring all these garis panduan policy and everything up to our board, our position is we don't hold equity in the startups due to issues like AUKU mentioned by Dr. Khairul, and also because we do not want any liabilities related to the startups. So the researchers' involvement in strictly business activities related to the startup should not be done during office hours. Yeah. Tapi transfer boleh. Yeah, but if strictly business activities, it should not be done during office hours. So I would like to just quickly show some um so we have a lot of policies and rules and guidelines that researchers can or should observe. Sorry, panjangkan sikit. Okay, for example, we have this peraturan dan syarat kelulusan pegangan equity dan penjawatan. So we have a maximum equity portion that the researchers can hold. Yeah, we kept it. Although this is not compulsory, but UPM has this policy. We have policies related to pendedahan pencangkahan kepentingan or conflict of interest declaration. We have policies related to harta intelek dan eksploitasi komersial. Okay. We have policies related to melakukan pekerjaan luar, melakukan pekerjaan luar. Yeah. We have forms like this, permohonan pegangan equity for researchers to fill in, permohonan melakukan pekerjaan luar, surat permohonan pendedahan pencangkahan kepentingan, and so on so forth. So all these are incorporated in the ecosystem to protect our researchers from any issues, because we understand that they are actually sacrificing a lot of their energy and time and even money to help bring the wonderful solutions and discoveries from research to the public through commercialization. Thank you. I think I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Prof. Shamsila, for sharing us with the journey of UPM. We know that UPM has been one of our reference, particularly in establishing our guidelines. So we know that some of the incentive, what you call the policy involved, particularly on the equity sharing. So basically, our guidelines is actually referring to one of yours, Prof. Shamsila. Thank you very much for the UPM for sharing with us the thoughts and the experience. But the thing is that I would like to move to Dr. Soni. Dr. Soni, now I have a question, particularly on the university's policies and regulation regarding staff involvement in external business ventures or startups. Okay, what are the policies, and how can this be managed to ensure compliance with institutional guidelines? Dr. Soni.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hafiz. This question actually is of general application. Yeah, I think it is also a good opportunity to highlight it here that the university would have some set of expectation from the staff, the do's and the don'ts, and what should be complied with. As it was true when my colleague Dr. Khairul Anwar mentioned that AUKU does not apply the same way as it applies, does not apply to IUM the same way as it applies to other universities. But certainly IUM we are not having this vacuum of this regulatory framework of our own. There are several laws that would also be applicable to IAM, to our staff of general application, such as law relating to penal offenses, penal code, and so on, including anti-corruption and so on. Of course, they are applicable across the industries and institutions. But we have some set of regulations as well, as far as I am concerned, and most of that questions are posed by Dr. Hafiz regarding the possibility or the flexibility of how IUM staff have a business outside the company, have employment outside the university, has an employment outside the company and benefiting from the works and so on. They are quite covered under our policies, especially the staff disciplinary rules 2015. So this question is quite specific. What do we have in order to expect some compliance from the IUM staff in this respect? So for example, I want to highlight that there is duty to avoid conflict of interest, duty to avoid conflict of interest between IUM staff and the IIUM itself. And this has been clearly highlighted by the staff disciplinary rules, or later on I will refer to as SDR, SDR 2015. We have several provisions, for example, I mentioned the policy against conflict of interest. We have in Regulation 9, Rule 9, Rule 5, among others, staff are expected to disclose, any involvement in external business ventures, especially those that may influence their decisions or objectivity within the university. So we do not start by saying that staff must not be involved. No, we don't have that. So because that is, the nature of human being, you have several activities and inclinations and works and so on and so forth. But as far as our commitment with IUM is concerned, it really requires us to ensure that we do not place ourselves in a conflict of interest. And what amounts to that conflict of interest? Perhaps it is very contextual. It is contextual. As long as that is a situation where when you are there, you are not really able to judge whether what you do is actually to serve the IAM or rather to serve yourself and putting yourself in that difficult situation. So it is case-to-case basis, but the principle is very clear about conflict of interest, so as to make you in such a restricted, this difficult situation. So for that purpose, IUM would require staff to file, in some situations, some context, to file annual conflict of interest declarations, In many situations, this may be required, and the university may restrict involvement, if any, in businesses that directly compete with the university resources. Upon the assessment, upon the finding that may be taken as a decision later on. Also, as part of the SDR 2015, we have this code of ethics and integrity, where staff is expected to uphold university's reputation and Islamic ethical standards. This is of course of general application, but in applications, whatever, in the first place, maybe it is not necessarily in conflict with IIUM, but if the staff involvement is in conflict with the Islamic ethical standard, with the Sharia and so on, and IUM would be also intervene in such a way, because this will at the end disrepute the university also, and conflict with the values that we are upholding. Therefore, the university may also restrict if staff is engaged with any businesses which are considered as against the Islamic ethical standard, as well as the university's reputation. There is also a specific situation where the staff can work outside, can work outside employment, outside the university. Basically, the SDR also mentions about that. Outside employment, as far as IUM and the staff is concerned, outside employment must be declared, and must be informed to the university. So IUM would limit, may limit, sorry, I would may limit the numbers of hours or days staff can spend on external ventures, and would require official permission, Official permission, it comes with in line with the university framework. So we have these few guidelines or safeguards, safeguards that we put under the staff disciplinary rules, just to ensure, number one is we uphold the university reputation. Then number two, we uphold the we uphold the Sharia, the Islamic ethical standards, and also we do not put ourselves in a direct conflict, yeah, with the university interest. So that is basically the thing, and how to go about that. I think the first thing would be transparency, yeah, transparency by way of reporting, by way of declaring it through the several channels, yeah. And also in terms of reporting may be required. Now, if we are to relate this with the need to establish or the allowance to establish a startup company, then we realize that there is a specific set of uh, requirements, yeah, when it comes to opening up a startup company outside the university, because this is something new, as has been highlighted by Dr. Hafiz also and himself, that we have worked together. So we are going to have this what we call as a guideline for establishment of startup company of IUM to be, of course, over supervised and enforced, yeah, by the TTO, yeah, by the TTO under the RMC. So if you go there, we have put some set of standards and regulations. I mean, the first thing, of course, this guideline, we call it, is will have to be read together with all the, the enforceable laws, as well as the IUM policies, circulars, and so on, including IUM policy on responsible research and innovation, yeah, 2020. There is, of course, the rule of the general application. And then when it comes to opening up a startup company, then we put a few controls, safeguards, yeah. As I mentioned earlier, for example, in terms of the revenue sharing, yeah, and revenue holding as well as sharing. That one is also highlighted. And then it will be decided between by the UMC, by the University Authority, yeah. Also, there will be a very clear terms and conditions. Okay, I mean, the moment it has been allowed, and there will be clear contract or agreement to be made between IIUM and this startup company, yeah, on several issues or several narrower scope or narrower points, such as, yeah, for example, in terms of reporting, yeah, reporting duties, yeah, the reporting requirements, I mean, and then also the licensing, yeah, licensing rights and royalties, yeah, this all will be highlighted. So I'm not going to go further or more details into this, but what we want to say is that first, based on the current existing rules and regulations that we have in IUM, we want to ensure that smooth process and transition of how we make sure our startup, yeah, will deliver the best benefit both for the innovators, researchers, as well as for the university, yeah, from some of those regulations that I do mention. Yeah, Dr. Hafiz, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sony. So, as far as you're concerned, IIM, similar to other university, we are very much into the startup journey, because we can see the benefits. At the same time, the university have to safeguard, considering that there could be what they call, there may be some potential of unethical issues raised by our university, just to protect the name of the university itself. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sony. I think we are clear now, the direction, and then some of the implication. Just we have one question from our participants today, and then I think this is much relevant to our respective speaker, Dr. Khairul Anwar Cik Azmi. Dr. Khairul, okay. Now, looking at the question, can the I would call Dr. Siti Hawa Ngalim, she's from USM. Okay, so asking questions about if there is any example or of unethical practices intended or unintended commonly reported. Are there any that's rather bizarre examples as well, possibly due to unupdated regulation laws, etc.? And we have also a question: what will in line with that? What are the legal implications for university staff? Okay, who are also founders or investor in startups, particularly in terms of conflict of interest, and disclosure requirements. Dr. Khairul, to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hafiz. Okay, straight away, if I can answer the question by Dr. Siti Hawa. Okay, as far as through my experience, there were few cases reported, but the gravity of the cases are normal, except for one or two cases whereby we have circumvent so that it won't be under the SPRM Section 23 Act. Let me share with you all the common cases first. The most common cases are always about abuse of power, abuse of power in term of either money or time. Time. Okay. Rest assured that the university will not be searching or harping any individuals that who has done unethical practices in their commercializations. But commonly the university receive complaints, particularly in terms of poison pen letters, telling the whole story or some of the things that has been happening during the commercializations. Okay, it can be either technology licensing, or it can be either on the startup spin-off. Okay, one of example of that is that one product has been approved for commercializations through technology licensing. Somehow there was a formal report saying that the product is not a completed product. Okay, but what make the more aggravating factors to this case is that despite it's not a completed product, these products belong to a company, not belong to the said researcher. So the complaint was saying that the said researcher received the product because both of them, he and the company, are close friends, and the company actually produced the product. The company just want to have the stamp of USM on the said product, and that's why the company willing to share the products with the said researcher, and the said researcher claim as theirs. Also, upon investigations, it happened that there were there are some truth to the complaints, and university take actions against the researcher. That's the first case. The second scenario that I would like to have is that despite the universities giving some seed fund for the startup, the fund has been used to pay the remunerations of the director, not for the company. So it goes to the pocket, and somehow the co-researcher is not happy, and she put a complaint. The third one, which is quite serious, is that this product involve a medical health items, medical health products, IP. Somehow, the permission has been given for her to allow to set up a company, but instead of setting up a company, she also set up a clinic. She set up a clinic that's something to do with the said product. If I mention the product, I worried that some of you might notice about this product. So I can't mention the name, but she has opened up a clinic on that, and she's not a practicing doctor, but somehow she has been directing the patients at our campus to go to her clinic, which is not a clinic under the KKM. So that was some of the things that happened. And another interesting case was something like, okay, there were um, three three inventors applying to set up a startup. And once it approved, The three of them consists of 2 lecturers, 2 inventors, researchers, academicians, 1 students. But when the students graduated, the students have a big mess and quarrel with the other 2 researchers, and somehow he managed to quash or to get these 2 academicians resign, leaving him alone on the said company. And he applied for cradle and successful by using these 2 academicians' name. And as a result, the company is no more startup of USM or spin-off of USM because there's no USM staff inside the company. So another unethical things happen. But the one that I would like to share with you is under Section 23 of the SPRM Act. What happened if you need to understand Section 23, natures of corruptions. Section 17, 18 is about giving and accepting bribe. Section 23 is something to do giving a contract to your close relative. Memberikan kontrak kepada saudara mara. So in this case, two of the commercializations, okay, the inventor has used his own product and his own company to supply to their PTJ. Okay, and he is the director of that PTJ. So of course, it may violate the Section 23 of Akta Suruhanjaya Pertikaian Rasuah. So we need to be very careful. We came to know about the issue by our bursar, and we intervened by stopping the researcher from supplying his own product to his own PTJ, Dr. Hafiz. So these are very critical, Dr. Siti Hawa, because he didn't know the impact of Section 23. He didn't know even the existence of Section 23. The Section 23 is that giving the project to your own self or to your relative. Diri sendiri pun salah, to your own close relative pun salah. Close relative means that up your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, up until your cousin. That's a close relative under the definitions of saudara mara terdekat under the SPRM Act. Okay, so that's to answer Dr. Siti Hawa. Come back to your question, what are the legal implications for university staff who are founders or investors in startup, particularly in terms of conflict of interest and disclosure requirements? So what I would like to say here, IIUM and all other universities, you need to have a procedures for the academics to apply for commercializations. Let's say they apply for licensing or they apply for startup, you need to have the procedure so that there will be applications, you vet it, you evaluate it, and you give the permission or you reject the applications. It means that it's all documented. Because if it's not documented later on, if he found out to be opening a company without the knowledge of IIUM or USM, then he or she may be in trouble. Remember, if you document it, then he or she will not be in trouble because he or she follow the procedures to open up a company. Okay, I don't have slide, but because of this issue, I would like to share with you somehow my Google search because I know I have been using this news in many of my talks. Let me share the screen. Let me share the screen. Okay, done. Okay, can you see this?
Boleh, Dr. Hairul.
Okay. Most of us didn't know that kerana berniaga, there's no penalty for berniaga. There's no penalty. This lady has been charged in court for opening up a company without the permission of the university. In fact, this lady worked in one of the public universities in Lembah Kelang. He's not a penjawat awam, he's from the university. Okay, this is a 2021. She opened up a company back in 2015, it's not mistaken, 2016. And this is how she has been caught. In fact, she has been warning before to close out the company, but she refused to do so. Just want to say there are many other cases also about pejabat awam berniaga and be charged under Section 168. Section 168 is under the penal code, whereby it is an offence for the government servants to open up a company without the permission. This is where I want all the universities, okay, I've been using all my platforms to say that let's document it, so that if the university allow us to set up a startup, it is all documented well, so that you won't kena under the penal code. So this is a real story I can show with you. Police are among the many pejabat awam that has been kena under Section 168, policemen, particularly the senior police officers. So I pass back to you, Dr. Hafiz.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Hairul. Now, what we can say is that the opportunity to open a startup is clear. There is what I call, especially for IIUM staff, because we have all the policy, all the guidelines. Okay, we have all the steps involved, including the deans also in the know. And then there are lots of committees actually prior to what I call the establishment itself. And I believe that all the universities having the same what I call guidelines and rules to ensure that SPRM is not going to be one of the issue to the companies, and as well as not causing any troubles to us, the researcher. So knowing that, it is very important to know that we have to follow the rules at the same times with all the support that is given by the university. Okay, if we follow the rules, if we make sure that everything starts in the beginning, everything goes rightly. So inshallah, the journey of the startups, as what Prof. Shamsilah had shared with us, Cabotec, for example, has been, there are not only one or two companies, there are lots of successful story as well from the local startups. And also, like not just Cradle, there is also MEFCAP, there is also other funders, and nowadays Kementerian Ekonomi, for example, emphasizing on the importance of startups. Okay, moving to the next question to Prof. Shamsilah. Prof. Shamsilah, we have altogether we have about 30 minutes. I would like to give you like 5 minutes or maybe to answer to this question, very critical. What common challenges do university affiliated startups often face during the commercialization process? And how do these challenges compare to those encountered by startups not associated with universities? Prof. Shamsilah, 5 minutes to you.
Thank you. Okay. When you say startups not affiliated by the university, you're referring to startups outside of the university,
Yes,
not
yes,
involving researchers in the university.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So startups involving researchers in the university normally have certain issues. They have normally, okay, university should have a supportive ecosystem. If the university launch startups and not have the supportive ecosystem, that is a problem. Yeah. So I'm assuming that all universities that have startups, they have a supportive ecosystem. So that's good. However, the common challenge will be compared to startups outside is that they are dealing with university technologies. So they have to go through the whole licensing and tech transfer process. So researchers need to understand that although it is their discovery, it belongs to the university. Sometimes that understanding is not there, so the TTO must assist. Yeah, so the IP belongs to the university and will be licensed to the company, and the researcher can explore the commercial potential. Secondly, the common issue, this is the most common one, is the art of balancing, because commercialization is a lot of your time, your energy, your commitment. So already as an academician, our workload is super heavy. And if you are involved in commercialization, most universities do not give you any discount. You still have to do all the kerja hakiki, you're being paid for your salary every month. And on top of that, you have to run a business. So some universities have moved towards allowing for sabbatical, which, gave a lot of relief to researchers who wants to pursue this, because doing business is just normal business also is not something you can do sambil lewa. It's a full-time thing. What more trying to develop business from technology. You are very, very lucky if you get a very good CEO. That's a God given. But if not, then you have to work very, very hard with whoever is in your team. Another big challenge is the perception. Is already mentioned somehow just now. There is still a lot of negative perceptions in the university for towards researchers involved in startups. Yeah, there's somehow this rumors or this general misconception that researchers involved in startups are trying to make themselves rich, ignore kerja hakiki and things like that. So for researchers who are sincere in trying to help the university, the society, and of course, wanting something for yourself is not a problem if it's done through the legal and halal way. But having to face this from your friends and your colleague can be really, really stressful, for many people. And of course, at the end of the day, the dilemma between whether you want to pursue academic goal or commercial goal, right? So academic goal, you do sit down, do publication, research, then you can pursue your academic goal, increase your H index. But a commercial goal is a different pathway altogether. So these are some of the unique challenges related to university-affiliated startups. However, there are common challenges between all these startups. Funding is always a challenge because as a startup, you need to. So this is one thing that researchers who form startup need to understand. One of the main thing you need to do is to raise fund first, because you can't start your business without raising fund for your company. So raising this fund, raising this capital can be a huge challenge, especially if your technology is something new, people don't understand. You need to acquire the language of people who give money, the way they speak, so that you can gain their trust and things like that. But university startup has advantage in terms of the branding and the credit you have. You have coming from a university, people will trust your technology more most of the time, especially if it is deep tech. I will stop there. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Prof. Shamsila. It's very clear that embarking into the startups, there are benefits, there are what I call challenges. But the thing is that with challenges, sometimes those are people who like to have challenge they're in their life. So perhaps the route of commercialization is the best. But if you are like ordinary people who just looking for promotion out of publication, so maybe commercialization via startups not fit for us. Maybe we can just go with whatever things that we have been doing. But what is the good thing without challenges? I think if those who are interested in challenges, it's considering that the university giving chance and then the support systems, inshallah, will be improving from time to time. So I think there is no harm for us to go through commercialization via startups. But the thing is that make sure that you follow everything, the guidelines, the policies must be very clear before embarking into that journey. Thank you very much, Prof. Shamsila, for the answer. Very fruitful. And then I think let us move on to Dr. Soni. Dr. Soni, 5 minutes to you on the question in regards to what are the primary legal and financial risks associated with staff involvement in startups and commercialization of IP, and how can this risk be mitigated through university policies and Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009. Dr. Soni, to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. I think listening to your words really motivates people like me also to take more challenges in life. Yeah, but we do acknowledge people of different kind of inclinations and tendencies. But it is good, like institutions like UIA or IUM or any other public or private universities would consider capitalizing all our resources in the best way lah. So some people will go this way, that way. In fact, Prof. Samsila posed a very important question. Are you for this type of work? Are you for the other type of work? That has to be settled among us lah. But I believe IIUM as the institution must allow room for those choices to grow and for at the end for the benefit of the university. So in that respect also we understand, and the moment we decide to take more challenges, then you know that there are risks. Yeah, when you take more challenges, there are risks, but certainly there will be gain. We expect this to happen. Yeah, without taking risks, then you don't get more gains. Yeah. Therefore, on that question, it is very important. Legal, I think actually there are a lot of risks. Yeah, when it comes to, let's say we decide to go for this, the risks are plenty. We can highlight few typical risks that we will encounter. Number one is business risk. Yeah, as far as IUM is concerned, then also there are certain business risks, and then financial risk. Then we also may want to put, among others, the reputation risk. But last but not least is also the legal risk. Sometimes they are interrelated to one another. In fact, doing all businesses that we currently are doing, there are also risks. Even research, teaching, and supervision, all those also carry their own risks. What more for more adventurous activities like commercialization and opening up a startup company. Also, we have this general legal risk that has been highlighted earlier by Dr. Khairul, when it comes to laws under the Penal Code, laws under the MACC Act, anti-corruption. Because what we do in this commercialization process, we will intersect, with lots of activities and possibilities also. So it is very crucial. I think it has been quite sufficiently highlighted, what we are looking at, what we are encountering when it comes to legal risk from perspective of the Penal Code and anti-corruption law. Therefore, we need to be very clear. And IIUM, I think, is not leaving it dark to our researchers. We try to put as much as possible all those legal risks to be provided under our internal policies, rules, and regulations. Just because IUM is not directly subjected to AUKU does not mean that we have lacuna or absence of regulation. So we try our best. Most of those issues, such as against conflict of interest, against unwanted misuse of your position, of researcher's position, or misuse of university resources, they are quite comprehensively covered under IIUM Staff Disciplinary Rules, SDR 2015. And I hope each of us, even for me, I keep learning on what is inside the SDR. I think all of us will have to keep on being reminded on this. Then certainly when it comes to IP and intellectual property, as well as the ownership and employment, there are also risks. If we don't carefully look into this, then it is very much prone to conflict, as well as unclarity or something, vagueness. Should I, for example, disclose this or not? Should I own this or not? Should this property belong to me or belong to the university? Therefore, we have mentioned under the new guideline for this startup company, or guideline under IIUM, that there must be a very clear licensing, commercialization agreement. We call it LCA, to spell out what you need to do. What you need to do, or what university need to do, the rights and obligations of each of these parties, university, as well as the staff involved in the commercialization, and also, of course, the right and obligations of the company itself. So we are bound by, we are putting ourselves here by the contract. As far as the contract is clear, so hopefully we can manage the risk, so as we are not being or taking wrong decisions, when it comes to claiming the ownership of IP and so on. And when it comes to employment, how long you can work, you can put your resources for that particular startup company. Also, this needs to be spelled out, as we highlighted. the university may require the limits of the hours or days that the person will be involved. And this also related to the question. Remember, this person who will embark this journey of a startup company is himself or herself a lecturer or a researcher who is also burdened by this existing kerja hakiki or research and work and so on. So in order to deal with that, it is very important part of the process that we put forward in our guideline that the dean of the where the researcher is hosted will also be involved. The dean will have to have their say as to especially what kind of KPI, what KPI or KII in UIA that we want to determine for that particular lecturer. For example, maybe and we don't necessarily fix that. That will have to be discussed between the researcher involved as well as the dean or the director of the institution in IIUM. So they can decide, they can agree that this particular person, researcher, will be impose certain hours of teaching, certain types of other KPI. So these can be also discussed and will be agreed upon and will be considered as part of the term and conditions of the startup company. Other than that, of course, we have some financial risk. This has to be further managed. Because the moment we lose track of this, then issues such as taxation, such as royalty, and then also revenue sharing may come to chaos. Unless we have a very clear, again, the agreement terms and conditions that will highlight how much royalties to be given, then who are to pay tax, how much tax to be imposed, and we also highlighted in the LCA the royalties. So those things, I think IUM tries to put those uh, risk management measures in the form of this framework as we put under the guideline that we are currently preparing and finalizing, inshallah. So, but I think what I like to highlight also, the last but not least, a key point here is that transparency. I think all this while, well, we may have had from time immemorial that some of our lecturers or researchers have been involved anyway, in the work outside the campus. The issues that sometimes we just don't know each other, what is the position. All what we know is, of course, the lecturer will have to complete their required KPIs and so on and so forth. So I think we hope to change this this culture of lack of transparency. We want to basically university by this putting all these rules wants to give a very important and positive signals to the researchers in IAM. Look, you can do this. You can do this. Just let's put this on table and discuss, and we put this in clear terms and regulation, clear terms and conditions. So I think transparency is one thing that we really want to achieve, by which we can try to clear as well as to manage as much risk as that may come from this exercise. Dr. Hafiz, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sony, and I hope that every one of us are clear with the risk involved whenever we embark into this journey of startups. Dr. Khairul, every time when I ask you question, will be lots of critical questions, I would say. Now, my question is also related to what Rmc Iium. This is our TTO officer asking question to Dr. Khairul, perhaps, particularly on this. What happened if the academic staff that involved in startup, okay, the startup itself, I'm talking about the startup eventually if unfortunately bankrupt, okay, what happened to his and her employment status? So that is one question. I hope that is okay to Dr. Khairul to answer, or maybe I can open to other as well. But now I focus on Dr. Khairul. But another question, Dr. Khairul, is that what practical, in continuation to the question by Encik Amir, what practical strategies can university startups use to incorporate ethical and legal consideration into their business plans while pursuing rapid growth and commercialization? Dr. Khairul, to you.
Okay. Relating to this question by Dr. Amir, what happens if the academic staff involved in the startup went bankrupt? Remember, the word bankrupt is for individual, the word winding up for the company. So I guess just to make it clear to all, if the academic staff bankrupt, okay, individually went bankrupt, okay, nothing happened to his employment. Okay, he or she can be brought over to disciplinary actions, but it's not compulsory. The university has discretion not to bring him to the disciplinary action. But even if been brought over to disciplinary action, it's not necessarily been dismissed, terminations of the job. No, it can be denda, it can be amaran only, yeah, it can be turun satu tangga gaji, doesn't matter. But in most cases, the university will decide not to take he or she to the discrimination. Just freeze him, meaning that tidak ada kenaikan pangkat lah kemudian hari. So he enjoy the same perks, the same kenaikan gaji, etc. But nothing happened to him. But for kenaikan pangkat, it's not advisable because he went bankrupt. Okay, he will receive apa ni salary macam biasa. Cuma for internal information to him or to her, dia punya account semua been frozen. So he has to do something else lah in order to receive the salary. Because most of the banks now, because they are the coordination is very good with the official assignee, the apa ni bahagian apa ni bankruptcy. So all the account will be frozen. Even last time, small banks will not be doing that. Now small bank also will be freezing their accounts. Okay, but if Dr. Amir Iium punya soalan is when bankrupt is for startup, it is winding up. Pembubaran syarikat. If winding up, okay, nothing happened to him as well. Remember, if is the startup can went bankrupt, okay, in the legal term is called winding up, ditutup lah, dibubarkan. So nothing happened to his employment. So in that case, he even cannot be brought over to tata tertib. Remember, bankrupt can be brought over to tata tertib, but winding up cannot be brought over because winding up separate legal entity. Company winding up dengan dia is totally different identity. So tak akan kena apa-apa lah. Tak akan kena apa-apa. So I hope I can understand it. But to the universities, if let's say you can smell that the startup will have a problem, please help the startup to do the voluntary winding up rather than involuntary winding up. Voluntary winding up dengan rela hati surrender lah. Please tutup my syarikat. Please wind up, bubarlah my syarikat because it will be more ethical to do that because you are not a real businessman outside who will try to strive for the success. No, you're not. Okay, come back to the question. What practical strategies can you still start up? Because of this timeline, pendek sangat, I can say that the practical approach is always you need to be certain on the staff need to understand his tugas hakiki. He cannot, when he been allowed to open up a startup, he now can refuse to take the teaching job. Teaching hours is less. No, there's no such thing of teaching hours is less. There's no such thing teaching hours. There's no loading teaching hours. No, nothing. But he has to do it normal as other colleague of him in term of teaching or in term of research. So when he has been allowed to do the startup, what I can anticipate from him is that he has less rest, kurang rehat lah. He has to occupy his time because his income will be double or triple because whatever the fixed income from tugas hakiki will still come in, but whatever the benefit profits from his side will also from the business side will be him. Dr. Muhammad Hafiz, saya bagi last kali. In USM, we have a startup with 3.2 million profit. And the researcher asked me, Doktor, duit ni siapa punya? It's yours. Except for the 20% 20% the stakeholder for USM. So can you imagine the 3.2 million for a startup of 4 years can generate 3.2 million in his account, and he is a millionaire. Pass back to you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Dr. Hairul. I think the last story that you shared with us is kind of motivating us. At the same time, kind of scary juga lah. Because our salary is not that much, and eventually, suddenly you receive like millions into your account. I don't know if there is any question from SPRM ke apa benda. That maybe that one in another series. Okay, so inshallah, now I would like to, we still have sometimes I would like to open for the audience if there is any question that you want to ask to any of our panels. We have Prof. Shamsila, the president of ITMA, as well as the former of the dean. I saw in the, what I call the CV, as well as what I call the previous director of what I call Putra Science Park. And we have Dr. Sony from IIUM, the Deputy Director of Legal Advisor of IIUM, and Dr. Khairul, who is the legal advisor of USM. So I open to all the audience if there is any question that you would like to raise. So, you know, after you finish this forum, all the question yang paling-paling kepala sebelum ni hilang. Begitu saja, insyaAllah. So open to participants for any question. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah wabarakatuh.
Dr. Hafiz and all the speakers. My question is actually actually long time ago. I'm very confused between the KPI for UiTM, and we are as a startup. We do the things to support the KPI, but we have not given any let's say any benefit. Let's say we do the very important KPI for university, and then yet we have to do the same things with others, researcher, and what you talk about the kerja hakiki as well. So can anyone from the speaker can comment on this? Thank you.
I think the question would be the best for us to get the answer from Prof. Shamsila, who's been working so hard to ensure that the startups can move forward. Prof. Shamsila, to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. Thank you, Prof. Engineer Dr. Ahmad Asari. I think this boils down to the understanding of the people who make decisions. So we need to do lots of engagements. I guess it should be the TTOs doing it, because if the researchers are doing it, it will be seen as, you know, you are fighting for your own interests. So it has to be the TTOs keep explaining what is involved in this whole process. And of course, through ITMA, we are also trying to get people in the bigger ecosystem outside of the university to understand. That being said, when it comes to technology transfer, I think that can be included if the university understands. That can be included as part of KPI setara. Like UPM, you know, we do some KPI setara, which is technology transfer. Coming up with patents can actually be equivalent to publications. However, the business building part, like what Dr. Khairul Anwar has mentioned, cannot be incorporated into our tugas hakiki, because that is something that we have to do outside of our existing work, and we will be incentivized through the revenues built from that business. So the startup has to make contributions needed from the researcher. One is the tech transfer, which is you are building the whole product, the whole prototype, the whole of these market ready products. That one you can do as a form of, you know, your contribution to the university as part of your salary, tugas hakiki. But the building of the business, the line can be quite black. So getting capitalization for UPM, getting capitalization for the company is considered part of tugas hakiki. Yeah. So I think that one is something that has to be discussed and explained continuously with people in the university, the decision makers, the management, as well as the board. Yeah, that's all. It can be difficult, but try to invite people who are successful to your university to be able to talk and share with your decision makers if possible. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. Shamsilah. It's true
My
because
pleasure.
that what happened with us at IIUM when we work in silo, especially TTO, if we didn't work together with our legal advisor, we didn't work with the Office of Industrial Linkages, it doesn't work. Because just to establish the what do you call it, and then we have to work together with HR. Our university we call it MSD, the management people. So to give us at the UIA at IIUM, inshallah sooner or later we are going to establish another type of leave on top of the sabbatical. We have the technopreneurship leave. So that one is another incentive that we are giving to our researcher, but they're still in the development of the policies. Nevertheless,
sorry, Doctor, I just want to quickly share one more point. InnoHub was set up 10 years ago. And when we set up InnoHub, interested researchers participated. And they were young at that time. Now, most of them are deans and directors. So they understand because they were part of what we call InnoHubbers, or the community. Yeah.
Inshallah. I think thank you very much, Prof. Shamsilah and Prof. Ahmad Asari for the question. So I think I would like, okay, we have Associate Prof. Dr. Nur Fadlina. She's the chair, she's the president of Young Scientist Network, Academy of Sciences, Malaysia, and also the UPM researcher. So sorry, Dr. Fadlina, to you, any question that you would like to raise?
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. I actually want to respond to the beautiful phrase that Prof. Shamsilah recently highlighted. I was one of the people who was young 10 years ago. So I'm just sharing, I'm just voluntarily sharing my experience and also would like to menyeru everybody. Let us take this look at the opportunity that the government and the institution has provided for us to encourage us to explore possibilities. I joined, I think I was the second batch of InnoHub, Prof. It was in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. I opened my startup. It was on sentiment analysis. I use AI. But after 2 years, we realized some recipe too was not correct. Project manager and also focus, maybe I was too young. And partly now that I look at it, actually because the technology was too early. But I am thankful that I joined that program. Tak ada nak kata saya somebody sangat ke until now ke whatever. Tapi to me, it was an opportunity for self-development. It taught me about business model, pitching, to be brave, to explore, and to network. Those are the things that we couldn't get if we just do typical research grant. Because when we do research grant, actually tak ada training pun for us. So by joining the InnoHub, it really built me. And until now, I'm thankful for it. And inshallah soon, I'll be opening up again through with friends. So hopefully bolehlah share story ni kepada kawan-kawan yang lain. Sama-sama researchers, let us try to not give up. Okay, itu saja. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nur Fadlina. Dr. Nur Fadlina, okay, for your information, this is a project in collaboration with IIUM, the TTO, RMC, ITMA, Office of Legal Advisor, as well as YSN ASM. And in this recording, we are going to take out some of the information and we are going to establish RCR 2.0, Responsible Conduct of Research, which we are going to make as one of the new chapter into the book so that every one of us who are interested, and we are encouraging everyone to learn about the ethical way in developing a startup and spin-off particularly. So inshallah, I think maybe I can give like, it's already exceed the 5 minutes, but I would like to invite all the speakers, all the, what they call our speakers today to give 1 minute conclusion. Okay, either, to encourage for the establishment of startups, at the same time to be careful with full integrity in whatever journey they are embarked, particularly on the startups and commercialization. So maybe I can start with you, Dr. Khairul.
Okay, 1 minute from me, I would say that um, uh, always consult your TTO office as well as your legal office if you are not sure. And if you want to commercialize your items, your IP, ensure that you do it through the university ecosystem, not on your own. Definitely, it will safeguard your interest and safeguard your the whole lot of your profession. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khairul. Dr. Soni, to you, 1 minute.
Thank you. While conforming with what Dr. Khairul just said, I like to quote this hadith for our benefit from Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he said, "Man sanna sunnatan hasanatan falahu ajruha wa ajru man amila biha." Whoever commences or starts with a very good initiative that benefits people, then he will have his reward as well as rewarding from that initiative, as well as rewards from those who follow the suit after him. Yeah, for IIUM, this is something quite new, and I believe what Dr. Hafiz is initiating is something for a greater good, for benefit. Inshallah, this is a good sunnah, the first initiative by those who started it. You'll have your reward, and inshallah, the reward of those who follow the suit, inshallah. So this is another, I think, reflection of the our concept or function as the vicegerent of the world, Khalifatun fil Ardi wa Khalifatullah. That's all.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Dr. Soni. Very inspirational. I think after this, Prof. Shamsilah will take that as notes for the following presentation, maybe. So, Prof. Shamsilah, so to you, 1 minute.
Okay, I would like to emphasize that in the world of spin-off and startups, failure is success. Failure is success. My trainer at Stanford Research International told me at Silicon Valley, when we search for CEOs, we don't ask how many companies have you successfully built. We ask how many companies have you failed, because it shows resiliency, it shows maturity, and it shows that you are willing to continue to find ways to make things work. The innovative mindset, the perseverance. So that is what our wonderful, beautiful Associate Professor Dr. Nur Fadlina has mentioned. I actually grew up together with the Hubbers. The whole community embrace failures. So we shouldn't be worried about failure. If a company doesn't work, just wind it up. You have something new, build a new company. As long as you follow the rules, as long as there's a strong coaching in the picture, inshallah, everything will work out fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Shamsilah. Thank you very much, Dr. Soni and Dr. Khairul. And I would like to once again thank you so much for TTO as well as the Office of Legal Advisor of IIUM, RMC, and ITMA. And last but not least, our supporter, YSN Academy of Sciences Malaysia, to embark into this journey. And I hope that this is going to be the starting point where we are going to grow further. If Stanford can do it, if the what they call the Westerners can do, why not us? We are not the second class. We are sometimes can be better. We can do the best because we have the uniqueness. One of the things as the staff of IIUM, we have the Rahmatan lil Alamin. So with that, let us conclude our discussion today with the recitation of Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul Asr. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much. And we hope that you can fill in the feedback form we are going to share with you later. Thank you very much. See you in the next event. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.